Hi, I'm Dev,
And I'm Cam.
and you're listening to Criminalish, a true crime podcast where two best friends trade stories ranging from the wild and wacky to the downright messed up.
Do you love listening to the Criminalish podcast? Want to hear more from Kim and Dev? Then consider becoming a subscriber for $2.99 a month. Subscribers will have exclusive access to minisodes, Dev and Cam's live reactions to crime shows and documentaries, as well as early access to any multi-part episodes and so much more. Click the link in the show description if you're interested in subscribing. See y'all in Cell Block C.
So today we will be discussing the attempted murder of Michael, also known as Mike Dippolito, which took place in Boynton Beach, Florida. Have you heard of this case before, Cam?
I don't think so, no.
Good, because this one's going to be very interesting. So before we get too deep into today's case, I wanted to extend a quick trigger warning about alcoholism and drug use. So please be mindful of that as you continue to listen to today's episode. And last but certainly not least, what are you drinking tonight, friend?
I am drinking some green tea. This comes from Yerba Mate, and I honestly just got a free package of their green tea bags when I was at this festival. And you know I love anything that's free, but it's actually pretty good.
I love that. I am also drinking a nice cup of green tea, but mine is from Walmart. You know, Cam is bougie over there. She's the rich friend. Mine is from Walmart, and it has honey in it as well.
Never that. I just said it was free. And you know darn well I would not be spending this much money on no Yerba Mate tea because I looked it up and the bag I got would have cost $25 from the store.
That's a lot. I want to say mine was like $3.
It does come with 75 tea bags though.
Okay, I guess that's not that bad.
Still a lot for $25.
It's the principle of the thing.
Exactly. And it tastes better because it's free too.
Everything always tastes better when it doesn't have to come out your bank account.
Exactly. It's an extra little seasoning.
So today we will be discussing the attempted murder of Michael Dippolito, which took place in Boynton Beach, Florida in 2009. So we're going to start by getting to know our victim, Mr. Michael Dippolito. And Michael commonly went by Mike, so I will be referring to him as Mike or Michael interchangeably throughout this episode. So please note, I am talking about the same person if I do switch back and forth. So Mike Dippolito was born February 19th, 1973, and grew up in Philadelphia. His childhood has been described as relatively ordinary and uneventful. Mike grew up to be very charming and charismatic. However, Mike would have a few run-ins with the legal system during his time as a young adult. In 1993, when he was 20 years old, Mike was arrested in Philadelphia for possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. However, he was able to bond out of these charges and was not held before his first hearing. When it came time for his first hearing, he didn't show up, and a bench warrant was issued for his arrest. And if you don't know, a bench warrant is just a warrant that has been ordered by the judge from behind the bench and is typically issued when a defendant violates the rules of the court, such as failure to appear. Once a bench warrant is issued, the police can treat it like any arrest warrant and use it to arrest a defendant and bring that defendant back in front of the judge. But based on my research, this warrant was never executed and he was not arrested for not appearing before the judge. So in this case, I'm speculating that he probably just paid some kind of fine and was able to avoid further prosecution in this case, as it was his first offense. Within the next couple of years, Mike would move to Boca Raton and work at a temporary employment agency. and he was seeing a woman by the name of Karen, and the couple would later have a child together in July of 1998. However, in August of 1997, when he was 24 years old, Mike was arrested on North Dixie Highway for offering an undercover Broward County Sheriff's deputy $15 for sex.
I don't know what's more offensive.
That's what I said. That's what I said in my research, dude.
What's more offensive? Like, was this person undercover as a sex worker, or were they undercover and he just went up to them and was like, "You look like I could pay you for sex"?
No, they were working undercover as a sex worker.
So $15 is extremely offensive.
Absolutely.
Most meals these days cost more than $15.
I can barely go to Chick-fil-A and get a meal on $15.
Right. But also, at this point, he was dating Karen, but they hadn't had their baby yet because it's August 1997, right?
Correct.
If my man cheats on me, I'm already mad. But if you paid to cheat on me, I'm pissed.
I'm furious.
And if you paid $15 to cheat on me, I am enraged.
Accurate. So Mike would later plead guilty and pay another fine, and he was released. And while I cannot prove that this is the reason they broke up, I can't imagine that this ordeal did not help keep him and Karen together. And the couple broke up shortly after their son was born. And Mike began seeing another woman by the name of Maria. So after meeting Maria, Mike left his job at the temporary employment agency and began working in the industry of commodities fraud.
Tell us about that.
He became part of a network of telemarketers who would recruit people to invest in foreign currency, and then they would steal these investors' money. And according to the federal indictment, investors lost $11.7 million before the scam was officially busted in 2002. However, Mike did not stay in that organization for long. He branched out on his own in 2001 and started his own companies called MAD Financial and CTU Incorporated. And if you guessed that these companies were still in the realm of foreign currency fraud, you would be correct.
I don't know what happens to Mike, but he definitely seems a little grimy.
In all honesty, that's part of the reason why I like talking about this case, is because Mike is a complicated character. Because on one hand, you're like, dude, you're kind of gross for this fraud stuff, but you're also a victim. So I have to feel bad for you because you are a victim, but you're also a little gross yourself. People have very complicated feelings towards Mike, and I find that very interesting.
Agreed, because I'm like, you are purposefully setting out to harm other people, to steal from other people. And oftentimes with these fraud cases, you're not preying on rich people. You're preying on people who are already struggling in one way or another. And you're taking even more from them, getting them in debt. Also, you can line your pockets.
I will say in this particular case, it does seem like Mike targeted more financially affluent clientele, because the investments he was getting would be like $7,000, $16,000, $25,000 investment. He's not taking, $2,000, $3,000 from grandma. It would still be bad if it was, but it did seem like he specifically targeted people who are more affluent.
Got it. Okay. Still mad, but less mad. No shade to rich people.
Exactly. All shade to rich people. I hate all y'all. I'm kidding. If you rich, come sponsor us.
Right.
Our email is criminalishpodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you.
So after starting these companies, in less than a year, one of the people that Mike had stolen money from called the U.S. Commodity Future Trading Commission in order to file a complaint against him. And in 2002, the commission filed a federal lawsuit alleging Michael's company had stolen more than $200,000 from its investors in just under a year.
In under a year, that's just wild. And this was his own company too.
Mm-hmm. 11 months specifically. So Mike was arrested in March of 2002, and he would later plead guilty to several charges, including organized fraud, grand theft, and unlicensed telemarketing. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison, but only served 7 months after being sentenced, as he had already spent time in jail leading up to his trial, and he was credited for time served. As part of his sentencing, he was also required to make monthly restitution payments to his victims and was slated to be on probation until 2032, or until all that restitution had been paid back. And friends of Mike, as well as Mike himself, have said that prison really changed him, and he completely turned over a new leaf and was going to get into legitimate business and legitimate ways of making money from this point forward. In July of 2007, he launched a legitimate online marketing company called Mad Media Incorporated and was using his income to steadily pay back his victims. And his parole officer, as well as detectives who had investigated the case, said that Mike was, quote, doing what he needed to do to stay clean, end quote.
Okay, well, I like the turnaround. I like that he actually saw that what he was doing was not okay and decided to switch it up and go the legal route and the route that did not take people's money.
Exactly, growth. We love growth. Also, despite Mike's prison stay and everything that was happening in his life, he and Maria were still together. And Maria described him as a sweet, caring boyfriend who would never intentionally hurt someone. Quote, there was nothing he wouldn't do for me, end quote.
Never is an overstatement because clearly he did intentionally hurt people. But I also think sometimes people confuse somebody being a good person to you with that person being a good person in general.
Exactly. Because think about it this way, even El Chapo got a wife.
She a ride or die for real.
She a ride or die for real. But in all honesty, if I was being taken care of, like baby girl was being taken care of, I don't know Nathan nor Nathaniel.
Mm-hmm.
Drugs, my husband, murder, he would never. I ain't mad at her. I don't care what nobody say. I ain't mad at her.
Yeah. He would never.
And you could just feel just how much Maria really did love Michael. And she gave this account to police, to interviews. Like, there was love there when she did these interviews back in 2010. So after knowing each other for almost 9 years, the couple would marry in 2007. However, though the couple seemed happy, Mike still had a fondness for the ladies of the night. And when Maria was taking a trip out of town in October of 2008, Mike called an escort service and requested some company for the evening.
See, this time he knew. He was like, okay, I'm going to call the escort service because the likelihood of one of them being undercover is lower than if I just pull up on some ladies on the street.
Exactly. He said it's been 10 years. I've learned my lesson now.
How old is Mike at this point?
If I'm doing my math correctly, I think he's 34.
And so he calls the escort service after he and Maria get married?
Yes, because they got married in 2007. I do not know what month specifically, but they got married in 2007, and he calls this escort service in October of 2008. And shortly after he makes this call to the escort service, a young woman named Dahlia Muhammad arrived at his door. And Mike fell for Dahlia immediately. And according to Mike himself, quote, pretty much we were on a fast track relationship, getting along great, end quote. And I don't know what Dahlia did to this man, but whatever she did, when Maria returned home from that trip in October of 2008, Mike announced that he was moving out and that he wanted a divorce.
Oh my gosh. I would be so sick.
After I was a ride or die for you? Sick. After I stayed by your side, after all that foolery you were doing, not knowing how long you were going to go to prison, after I did all that for you, and you leave me for an escort you met one time?
Years of dating, we just got married in the last year. We're supposed to still be in the honeymoon phase.
Exactly. And of course, at first, Mike denied that there was another woman, but Maria's not stupid, and she quickly figured out that there was. And when she confronted Mike about this, he admitted that he was seeing another woman, and he genuinely thought they really had something special, and he could not miss out on that. And Maria didn't put up much of a fight when it came to this divorce, and by January of 2009, Maria and Michael were officially divorced. And 5 days after the divorce was finalized, he marries Dahlia at the Palm Beach County Courthouse in Delray Beach, Florida. And Mr. and Mrs. Dippolito move into a $225,000 townhome that Michael had bought in Boynton Beach. And the couple quickly settle into their new married life.
Wow. Yeah, the way I would have had to block that man as Maria, I would have had to block him quickly. 5 days after our divorce, you get married and move to a townhome with her. You've known her for a few months, so we've known each other for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to keep listening because this is very messy.
It's very messy. And I'm not saying karma may have got him, but, and I'm going to just leave it at that. So I'm sure you're wondering, who the hell is Dahlia Muhammad, who was now Dahlia Dippolito because she did change her name upon marrying Mike. But Dahlia Muhammad was born on October 18th, 1982 in New York. And she was the eldest of 3 children. For reasons unknown, her family moved to Boynton Beach when Dahlia was 13, and her father waited tables at the Ritz-Carlton while her mother worked as a manager for an HMO, or a health maintenance organization. And Dahlia was the daughter of immigrants. Her father was Egyptian and her mother was Peruvian. And overall, the family was hardworking, but came from very modest means. And I think her upbringing of having 2 hardworking parents in the home who struggled to make ends meet and provide for their 4 children would later have an impact on the way Dahlia viewed and prioritized the finer things in life. When Dahlia turned 18, her mother filed for divorce, ironically alleging that her father was cheating on her. And upon filing for this divorce, Dahlia's father would move to Maine, while her mother, and her siblings remained in Boynton Beach, Florida. By 2000, Dahlia was attending college and working in some capacity. I do not know what specifically. However, I do not believe she finished school or stayed in college very long, as she eventually moved out to California with her fiance at the time, who was an architect, and she worked as a masseuse in a tanning parlor. However, her time in California didn't last long, as according to her friend, she, quote, took his ring, took some money, and of course, divorced him, end quote. By 2006, she had left her fiance and was back in Florida. She had obtained her real estate license, but she was also working as an escort on the side. And Dahlia has been described as a woman who knew how to use her assets to get what she wanted in both of her professions. And it is believed that this charm is what led her to ring in Mike and leave his wife and marry her.
So with her previous fiance, that friend was implying that Dahlia never really was interested in marrying him. She really just wanted the ring and the money that came with it. And once she got that, she dipped.
Exactly.
I'm not mad at it.
Look, Cam said, get your money. Get your money up.
Get it how you live it, you know?
The couple was described as very affectionate, almost making other people uncomfortable with the level of PDA they displayed while out and about. Dahlia was described as a loving wife who showered Mike in affection and love. The couple also had 2 dogs named Bella and Linguini. And to the outside world, they had a perfectly happy marriage.
Was Mike's son living with them?
No, Mike's son was in the care of Karen. So though they are putting up this front of having a happy, perfect, loving marriage, cracks are beginning to show in the marriage very, very soon. And I'm talking within 2 weeks of being married.
Wow.
Dahlia realizes that Mike has a very mundane routine of which he lives his life, and is not the exciting romantic love story that she had kind of placed in her mind. Mike was described by her as a former crack addict and a recovering alcoholic, and his routine was important to him in order to keep his life on track. Now, I have not been able to confirm those allegations against Mike, but those are what Dahlia is saying. So we'll have to take that with a grain of salt. Maybe a dash. So his lifestyle was very regimented, and it was pretty common practice for people who are recovering addicts and recovering alcoholics to build a routine and build a practice that helps you get through your days. But Dahlia was not about that. And not only did she hate this routine life that he lived, she also hated Mike's family. And that matter starts to put some additional strain on the relationship. Mike is Italian and comes from a very big family, a loving family, and they all live very close by. And on several occasions, Dahlia would complain to friends that his mother comes over to the house too much and that his family is just always around the house far too much.
If you marry somebody, especially somebody that is a family person, you're marrying their family too.
Exactly. You changed your name. You're in the family now, girl.
And that's why I think that people need to not rush into marriages. Not to say that there aren't successful marriages for people who got married within a week, month, a few months of knowing each other. But when you get married that quickly, all you know is the best version of that person.
Exactly.
And so if you would have dated for a little bit longer, you would have seen the fact that he's always around his family. And if you didn't like the family, you would have known that too.
Exactly.
But she wanted Mike and or his money, so
I need to hurry up and get married.
Mm-hmm.
And after just a few months of being married, Dahlia had disclosed to her friends that she was ready to get out of this marriage. In addition to this, Mike had been transferring thousands of dollars to Dahlia's personal bank account. According to Mike, he wanted to pay his remaining restitution, which was $191,000 in one lump sum, and that would allow him to get off probation. Dahlia, being the loving wife that she pretended to be, offered to pay half of his remaining sum in order for him to get off probation even faster. So he transferred $100,000 to her account that already had $91,000 in it. And I want you to guess what happened to that money.
I'm guessing she left. She spent that on clothes, makeup, whatever she wanted. Maybe a trip.
I can't tell you how she spent it, but I can guarantee you it didn't go to any restitution. And of course, she didn't tell Mike that she was going to do that. Additionally, Dahlia had a former lover of hers contact Mike and tell him that in order to get off of probation, he would need to move his house solely in his wife's name until his restitution was paid. And without doing any further research, Mike transfers ownership of the townhome solely to Dahlia. And after getting his money and getting the townhouse transferred in her name, a lot of weird circumstances started following the Dippolitos for the next few months. In March of 2009, so less than 2 months after the couple had gotten married, Michael and Dahlia were vacationing at the Ritz-Carlton. When the couple were checking out of the hotel, police officers were standing outside of the car and told him that they had received an anonymous tip that Michael was dealing drugs out of his car. The police searched the vehicle and didn't find any drugs, so they let him go. Now, I want you to understand that this is a very big deal because if the officers had found drugs or any other paraphernalia in Michael's car, Michael could have been sent back to prison for up to 10 years.
Yeah, because he's still on probation.
Exactly. 2 weeks later, the same thing happens while he and Dahlia were at City Place in West Palm Beach. Again, police officers had gotten an anonymous tip that he was dealing drugs out of his vehicle, And this time, when they searched the car, they found a Newport cigarette box under the spare tire that contained 2 small bags of cocaine. And Michael is freaking the hell out, and police actually describe this incident as him having a full-blown panic attack. Because, again, if he's arrested or caught with these drugs, he was going to go to prison for at least another decade. So he denies knowing that the drugs were there, and miraculously, the officers believe him. Later, one of the officers would say that they believed Michael, 1, because of his hysteria, 2, because they found the drugs in a really suspicious hiding spot, and 3rd, they noted that while Michael was having his panic attack, Dahlia was standing there and she could not care less about what was going on with her husband. So the police were just like, this whole thing feels very off. A few days later, Michael was on the way home from the gym when he found a note on his car that said, quote,
"Bring $40,000 by 9:30 a.m. back to this parking space and put it under the car parked behind you. Don't tell anyone, especially your wife. I will tell you all that has happened to you is happening to you for a reason and will happen on Friday. Tell no one. Come alone. Signed, someone who will help you."
End quote.
I mean, like, it just doesn't seem like a good deal. You don't have anybody kidnapped. You don't have anybody that I want. I mean, I guess for him, it maybe would make sense because somebody keeps putting him in situations that might land him in prison again for 10 years. And so $40K might be worth it. But if you're trying to help me, why are you asking for $40K?
Right. So Michael reads this little trifling note and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm actually going to call the police. And he contacts the Boynton Beach Police Department about the note in late May of 2009. And the officers noted that he appeared extremely paranoid and concerned for his safety and well-being because he could not put together who was seemingly out to get him. The police took note of this incident and thought that it could have been someone from Michael's scamming days who was now out to get him. Because unfortunately, remember that corporation that stole millions of dollars before they were busted in 2002?
Mm-hmm.
They were affiliated with the Italian mob.
Of course.
So the police are like, it's not looking good for you, dude. And I do think police at the time believed that this was some kind of mob-related threatening going on. So after leaving the police department that day, Michael had grown incredibly suspicious of his new wife, Dahlia, because he starts putting together that the only people who knew they were vacationing at those times or at those locations or going to dinner at the time when the police showed up is Dahlia.
And I'm sure he thought back to how she was reacting or not reacting when the police found that cocaine on his car.
Exactly. And he actually confronted her with this information one day when they were driving home from dinner. And as you can imagine, it did not go well. Allegedly, she was driving the car when he made this accusation, and she put the pedal to the floor and got up to 120 on the freeway and was swerving between cars and screaming uncontrollably, stating, "How dare you accuse me of such a thing? Do you know everything I've done for you? How dare you do that to me?" And because Michael was in fear for his life, he apologized. He said he didn't mean it. And inevitably, Dahlia slowed down the car and the couple made it home safely. So as you can see, that is a perfectly rational and understanding response to being accused of such a thing. Clearly, she is innocent.
Yeah, every time a person who is lying gets called out, I feel like they respond in that way. Like, that is such a telltale sign that you're not telling the truth and I just caught you. But also, now every time I see a car swerving in and out, I'm going to think, Man, maybe that driver just got accused of something. They definitely did.
New plot to add to your internal storylines you be making up for every person you see. So clearly this went very poorly. And the following day, Dahlia is trying to be all apologetic to Mike, and she's trying to be really sweet. And she was like, baby, I know I did that and it was so bad of me to do. And I know I acted irrationally, but it's just because I'm pregnant.
Oh, Lord.
Yep. So she tells Michael that she is pregnant with his child. And the incident from last night is quickly forgotten. And the two go to the store to buy parenting books. And Michael was so excited and caught up in having a child with Dahlia that he had completely let go of the incident of Dahlia possibly setting him up, and completely let go of the possibility that Dahlia stole $100,000 from him. All because he believed that she was pregnant with his child. Spoiler alert, she is not pregnant.
Of course. Oh my gosh. Karma came back and it had teeth and hands. It was fighting dirty.
Right. So, because you know she ain't pregnant, I know she ain't pregnant, and Dahlia knows she ain't pregnant. So she knew she couldn't keep this ruse up of being pregnant for very long, as well as keeping all of his money. So she made the decision that she was going to have to get rid of Mike in order to get away with everything. So if you haven't put it together by now, all of those anonymous tips did actually come from Dahlia. And her original plan was to get Michael sent back to prison for a long time, keep his money and his house, more than likely sell the house, and move on with her life, and probably file for divorce sometime when he's in prison. However, when these attempts failed, it seems that she made the decision that Mike had to die in order for her to get everything she wanted. Initially, she attempted to do this herself by putting antifreeze in his tea.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Side note, if you're listening and you don't know this, that is an extremely painful way to die. The reckoning that antifreeze does on your body is insane, and it can take days to kill you. So you're going to be suffering in pain for days before you finally die. It is so messed up. But luckily, Michael immediately pours out the tea. He spits it out because it clearly doesn't taste good. And as far as I know, he was sick for about a day, but he does recover and everything is fine after that. So when this plan fails, Dahlia contacted another former lover of hers named Mohammed Shiadeh and asked him if he knew a hitman who would kill her husband. And she allegedly told him, quote, "I know you're short on money. I got you if you could do this for me," end quote. And this information is not important at all. But funny enough, when I first saw pictures of Muhammad, I was like, I've seen this dude before. And I couldn't figure out where. Until I realized that he was actually an actor on one of me and my father's favorite shows, Burn Notice.
No. Oh my gosh.
Yes, he plays a terrorist on Burn Notice.
So is she saying you're short on money because you haven't got any acting gigs lately?
That's what it's sounding like. It's sounding like your acting career has not taken off. I know you need these funds. I got you, boo. So, despite her calling him broke, Muhammad tells her, I'm not helping you with that, and I don't want anything to do with it. And you're on your own. He's like, don't get me involved in this BS.
Right, because like one surefire way to end my acting career is to get wrapped up in murder.
Exactly. Then I'm really going to be broke. But he doesn't report her to the police or anything like that because I believe he thinks she's not really serious. He had known her for a very long time, and I think he thought that she was just having one of those days where she was being hyperbolic, even though she was fed up with Mike. However, shortly after that, when he and Dahlia were running errands together, He went into a gas station to buy some cigarettes. And allegedly, Dahlia grabbed his gun out of the glove compartment and had put it in her purse. And he said that was the last straw. He told her to get out of his car and to give him back his gun. The following day, she offered him $5,000 to buy a gun for her. And when he refused, she told him that she would just hire someone else to do it. And Muhammad has actually described Dahlia as a brat who was very used to getting her way and getting anything that she wanted. So I can just imagine there was a great deal of attitude about him not agreeing to carry out your plot to kill your husband.
And trying to use my gun to do it.
So you're also trying to frame me. So not only did you call me broke, but you also tried to frame me for murder. So by this point, Muhammad is 100% convinced that Dahlia is very much serious, and he goes to the Boynton Beach Police Department and tells them everything. And upon contacting the police, he agrees to become an informant, and the police put a hidden camera in his car and ask him to arrange for another meeting between him and Dahlia. They meet up at a gas station, and at that gas station, he explains that he has had a change of heart and that he was going to help her get a hitman to kill her husband. And in that meeting, Dahlia explains that she's 100% sure that she will get away with this, that no one's going to be able to point a finger at her, and that she will walk away from this entire incident scot-free.
100% sure. First of all, girl, you know they always look at the spouse. And y'all didn't have a good relationship?
In this same conversation, she just says, I'm going to throw all the names of everybody he knows, the people he used to run with. Yeah, all that mob connection, I'm throwing that in there. And everybody's just going to think this was a mob hit. They won't even be able to look at me. So after explaining that she ain't got nothing to worry about and she's good, she gives Muhammad $1,200 in cash as a down payment for him to give to the hitman.
As an informant, do you get to keep any money they might give you thinking it's going to something else? Asking for a friend.
I don't think you get to keep that money, but you are paid by the police. I don't know what that entails though. Because essentially you're essentially treated as a contract worker, but that also depends from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. If he had actually committed a crime, he wouldn't be getting paid. Like if he was like, oh, I'm just ratting her out, like a plea deal kind of situation. But since he didn't do anything and he reported it relatively immediately, there is a possibility he was getting paid for it.
Okay, good to know.
So on August 3rd of 2009, just over 7 months into their marriage, Dahlia meets up with the hitman in a CVS parking lot less than 2 miles away from the home she shared with Mike. And of course, this hitman is actually an undercover officer. And again, the entire conversation is recorded. So in this conversation, Dahlia again talks about how she's a lot tougher than she looks and that she's not the cute little girl that people think she is. And she begins to talk in depth about their plan to kill Mike. And this entire conversation is available on YouTube. I will be cutting some of it into this episode, but it will be linked in the show notes, and you have to go watch this entire interview because it is baffling. And something I found very interesting is that at one point, the undercover cop asked her, quote, "Are you sure you want to kill this dude?" End quote. And she just kind of nervously laughs and avoids the question. And is basically like, I would much rather say less about it because I don't want to use those words. And I'm going to play that for you right now so you can hear it.
Sure you want to kill this dude?
Could we really have to? You know, it's just, I'd rather be as less, middle with you.
Alright,
She says that after sitting in a car for almost 20 minutes planning Michael's murder.
Yeah, that's very strange that was the boundary she had.
If you want me to be honest, and this is a little bit of foreshadowing, but I think she believes that if she doesn't outwardly admit to wanting to kill Mike or say the words that she wants to kill Mike, that she will somehow be exonerated of any guilt. Which is comical to me because you sit in a car with who you believe to be is a hitman. There's no other reason for you to be in this car unless somebody's getting hit.
Right.
So they continue to negotiate the schedule of the murder as well as the fee of the murder. And Dahlia just straight up asked him, how soon could you get it done? I really need it this week. Like she's ordering a package from Amazon.
Right. Can you expedite it? Y'all got overnight?
Mike said it best. This man said, she's talking about killing me like she's ordering a cheese sandwich.
You know what I mean? That's just the way it is.
How soon can we get everything going?
Well, it's up to you.
I mean, it doesn't sound like this week, but like my understanding of everything was that, like, you know, I was going to give you what I gave you, and then that was everything. Until after the fact, and then after the fact, I guess you were going to come and like find me or whatever, or you were going to tell me where it was supposed to go.
And that's scary.
Scary. And all I'm saying is this is the person you left your partner of 10 years for.
Like I said, karma got hands.
Karma got hands. She did not come to play with you. So as this conversation continues, the hitman outright says that he's going to break into Michael's home when she's away at the gym, and he's going to get, quote, 2 in the head, end quote. And Dahlia just nods her head in agreement with the officer. And finally, the officer who is posing as a hitman says, quote, between now and when it's done, you're not going to have an opportunity to change your mind, end quote. Which, in my opinion, is the officer offering her an out, offering her a chance to change her mind, to show that she doesn't really want to kill Mike. However, she almost cuts him off before he can even finish the rest of the sentence. And she says, quote, there's no changing. I'm positive, like 5,000% sure, end quote.
It's going to be like I break into the house, didn't think he was going to be home because everybody works in the daytime.
Right.
If he's at work, when he's not at work, then, he gets 2 in the head. That's it. I take a couple things with me, break a couple windows, make it look like a robbery that went bad. It's all over. I'm gone out of there. Which is why I said that, between now and when it's done, you're not going to have an option to change your mind. Even if you change your mind, talking to him.
There's no changing, there's no, like, determination already. I'm positive, like, 5,000% sure, like, I was stressing when you told me you were going to come up here, and then I'm, like, looking at the time, I'm like, what the fuck, he's not coming, he's not this, it's like, all this stuff or whatever. Like, no, when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Like, as soon as he told me I was going to need the money from you, I went, I grabbed it right away, like, we were good to go. Like, with me, you're not going to have a problem, you're not going to have an issue, you know what I mean? Nothing of nothing.
Wow, that dug herself into a grave talking about, I'm 100% sure that they're not going to find out it was me.
And now you're 5,000% sure that you want him dead. I ain't never been 5,000% sure about anything in my whole life. And Dahlia provides the hitman with the address and photos of the home, and they part ways with pleasantries. And Dahlia leaves the car believing that her husband will be murdered just 2 days later. So, 2 days later, on August 5th of 2009, Dahlia leaves the home at 5:30 a.m. and goes to the gym. Police then drive to Mike's home and inform him that his new wife has attempted to hire a hitman to kill him. And they ask him if he is willing to go along with their ruse, and he leaves with them. And after agreeing to leave with the police, the Boynton Beach police officers remain and set up a fake crime scene at his home. They block off the entrances, they put up yellow tape, and they open the front door. Shortly after removing Mike from the fake crime scene, an officer calls Dahlia at the gym and tells her to return home immediately. And I forgot to mention this, but the Boynton Beach police had actually been working with the show Cops. and they were filming this entire investigation into Miss Dahlia Dippolito. So, when the officer informs her to come home immediately, she pulls up to the fake crime scene, and she's looking so frantic, and she's like, "What's going on?" And an officer stops her and asks her if her husband is Michael, and that Michael had been killed that morning. And on cue, Dahlia starts wailing and sobbing, and she's just so upset, and she's saying, "No, no, no, it can't be true. It can't be true." And I'm going to now let you guys hear the entire clip of how she sounded when she found out that Mike had been killed.
I'm Sergeant Ramsey. I'm the one that called you. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry to call you. Listen, we had a report of a disturbance at your house, and there were shots fired. Is your husband Michael? Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, ma'am. He's been killed. He's been killed, ma'am. I'm sorry. Listen. No. Try to calm down. Listen. Right now, we need to get you to the station. We need to get you to our police station. I can't let you stay, man. We have to do our job. If you want us to find this killer, okay? We need you to calm down. I'm gonna need you to go with these detectives, okay? Does he have enemies? Is there anyone that would want to hurt him? Okay, who would want to hurt him? Witnesses said they saw a black male running from me. I can't let you see him, ma'am. Ma'am, I cannot do this right now. Ma'am, I can't do it. Detective Yopi, I need you to take her to the station. I can't. Ma'am, go with these detectives. If you want to help your husband, okay? If you want to help your husband, you need to go to the station with these gentlemen and tell us everything you know about who he knows, who he's connected to. Don't worry, we've already taken care of your dogs with animal control for right now. Everything's under control. And we'll take care of everything else, okay? Thank you, guys.
Actually, a question in the comment. One, is the fake hitman that was the undercover officer, is he a black man?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because when they said witnesses said they saw a black man running, I was like, why he gotta be black? But okay, that makes sense.
No, it's a ruse. The hitman was a black man.
Yeah, okay. And the comment is, those police officers are acting, because the way I would have been cutting up, the way I would not have been able to keep a straight face. I see this lady wailing, crying, knowing she lying. Yeah.
I have always been of the opinion that if I was there, I would be sitting in the back corner just being like, she think we don't know. That's crazy. She think we don't know.
Right.
Another thing I thought was hilarious about that whole ordeal is that she made it a point to say, "My dogs are in my house. Where are my dogs?"
If you cared so much about them darn dogs, you should have took them to the gym with you, because you knew the hitman was coming.
So after informing her of her husband's murder, they take Dahlia to the police department and they read her rights and Mirandize her and begin asking her if she knows anybody who would want to hurt her husband. This interrogation is also available on YouTube, and I will be sure to leave it in the show notes, so if you would like to go watch it, you can. But I'm also going to, again, insert some clips for you so you can see how she immediately starts throwing Michael under the bus. She talks about how he's on probation, that he's a former criminal, that he was involved in all these scams, that he's a crack addict. She just attempts to completely ruin this guy's character to these officers. And of course, she starts saying that one of his former clients or gangsters that he used to run with could be responsible for his murder. There were so many people who were out to get him. And of course, she's crying and she's trying to act like she's devastated by all this. And she just can't imagine that somebody has taken away her sweet, sweet Michael.
And where is Michael during all this?
He's at the police station watching the interrogation on a television.
I gotta say, I do appreciate the theatrics of it all. They said, "Oh, cops is coming? We gonna put on a show."
Hello. So eventually the main officer comes in and he says, quote,
"Now, you know that I've advised you of your rights, right?"
Yes, you have.
Okay. The game's over with. Okay? There's no more games with you and I. Now we're going to get down to serious business. I want to know if you know this guy. Come here. Bring this guy in here.
And at that moment, he opens the door and he brings in the undercover officer. But the undercover officer is still in character. So they have him in handcuffs and they, have disheveled his clothes to look like they've roughed him up. And the officers come in saying, "This is the dude that witnesses say was running out of your house this morning. Have you ever seen this dude?" And Dahlia looks this man dead in his eyes, and she starts swearing up and down that she has never seen him before and that she had no idea who this dude was.
Get over here. Get over here. You know who this guy is?
No,
You've never seen him before?
I've never seen him before. Ever.
Do you know her?
Put your head up and look at her.
Put your head up.
I've never seen him.
What were you doing coming out of her house? Get him out of here.
So then the police remove the undercover officer, and they inform Dahlia that they know exactly what she did. And the officer says, quote,
"You're going to jail today for solicitation of murder. You're under arrest." That's an undercover police officer. We filmed everything that you did, recorded everything that you did. You're going to jail for solicitation of first-degree murder of your husband.
And this is when we finally get to hear some genuine fear and some genuine shock from Dahlia, as she keeps crying and almost screaming, "I didn't do anything. Please, I didn't do anything."
I didn't do anything.
Did you hear what I just told you?
I heard what you said, but I didn't do
Everything,
anything.
listen to me. Everything has been recorded. You were photographed in the convertible when you sat in his car in the front of CVS. What do you want to do? What do you want to do here?
I didn't do
Dahlia?
anything.
Listen to me.
I didn't do anything.
You're going
I
to
didn't
jail.
do anything. Please, I didn't do anything.
Tell me you didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything.
You're going to jail today. As soon as I'm done, they're going to come in here and handcuff you and take you to the Palm Beach County Jail, book you for solicitation of first-degree murder on your husband. Your husband is well and alive.
Thank God.
Oh, yeah, thank God.
Please, can I see him?
No, he doesn't want to see you.
I so wanted to see him.
He doesn't want to see you.
Please.
You better quit your playing. Listen to me.
Oh my God.
I want you to quit your acting and get this over with.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm not.
Okay. You know what? You need a real good attorney. You need a real good attorney because we're going to show them the film where you say you're 5,000% sure you want him dead. You think I made that up? You think I made that up? It's exactly what's going to happen. I'm talking with you. When I leave this room, no other officer will ever talk to you again. Next time we see you is when you're in trial. Now, you can make it right here, or you're going to trial, and you're going to do life in prison. You want to cooperate with us, whatever you want to do. It's over and done once I walk out. I'm not coming back in to talk to you. And no one else is either. What do you want to do before I leave here? Because the next officer comes here, going to handcuff you and take you to the
I'd
jail.
like to see my husband, please.
Oh my gosh, that man does not want to see you. And if he does, you might not be safe.
Mike is a better person than me. So after she asks if she could see him, the officer says, quote, "Nope, he doesn't want to see you," end quote. And another officer comes in and handcuffs Dahlia, while another officer does bring Mike to the door of the interrogation room. And Dahlia is shocked and confused that he's alive. And she is begging him to come and talk to her.
Oh my God.
He's alive.
Come here, please. Come here. Mike, come here. Come here, please. Come here.
Can't fix it.
Why not? I didn't do anything
I
to
heard
you.
you.
Mike, come here, please. Come here.
Okay. Like, we'll take her back to booking, please. Come on.
You're not even saying sorry. That's the thing. You're not even saying sorry. You're still denying it. We have you on video.
We got you on candid camera. But Mike simply responds, "I can't." And he is led away by officers as she's yelling after him. "Why won't you come talk to me? I didn't do anything to you. Mike, come here. Please, please come here."
I mean, yeah, she She got what was coming for her.
But after she has seen Mike, and at this point she has been formally arrested, a new set of officers come in to interrogate her with this new knowledge that they know exactly what happened. And I'm going to just read you a couple of quotes from this interrogation so you can get a good sense of what we're dealing with when it comes to Miss Dahlia Dippolito. Quote, "I didn't do anything. I just want to go home." End quote. Quote, "You guys are treating me like a criminal, and I'm not, and I'm not that kind of person. I'm just not." End quote. Quote, "I didn't exchange money with anyone. I never wanted anyone dead." End quote. And officers showed her all the video evidence that they had collected, as well as all the documentation that she had paid for this hitman. And she denies everything and said that she didn't do anything wrong. When the police weren't getting any further with her, they took her to the county jail where she was able to make a couple of phone calls. And if you're in this scenario, who is the last person you would call and ask for help?
Mike, the person I just tried to kill.
Girl, you already know she called Michael from that prison and asked him for his help. And honestly, I can't talk about this call without getting angry. The call is only 10 minutes long, and I will cut out some of it because it's a very repetitive phone call, but I just have to insert the call so you guys can listen to exactly the kind of woman that we are dealing with.
Hello?
Hey, it's me.
Yeah, what's up?
Nothing, Mike. Can you please come here?
Hey, listen, I don't want to fight with you. Honestly, I can't help you.
Mike,
Don't you understand what just happened?
what they're saying is not true.
How is that possible?
Like, I'm sitting here. It's not true. It's not possible. You wouldn't even give me 2 minutes to talk to you, but it's not possible. What they are
Hey.
saying is not true.
How in the hell did I hear it and see
Like,
it?
I heard what you heard. It's not true. I heard what you heard and I saw what you saw. Everything they showed you, they showed me.
And how is it not? How are you telling me that?
I
It's
am
not
giving
true.
you my word that it's not true.
What do you? Daddy, I couldn't help you if I wanted to.
Like, please, I need an attorney. Can you please help me? This is not true.
Daddy, look, how do you explain what I saw and heard?
Like, I am limited on my phone call. You know more than anybody. It's not true. Just give me time so I can talk to you.
What? There's nothing to say. I saw it. I heard it.
I saw what you saw and I heard what you heard.
Okay, what the f***? You said you wanted to have me killed. I heard that.
That's
What's the
not true.
problem?
That is not
How is
true.
it not true?
How can you believe that?
I heard your voice.
How can you believe it?
That isn't the point. I heard you say it.
It's not. I heard what you heard and it's not.
What did I hear then? I heard you say.
I heard the tape. Okay, I heard the tape and I saw pictures and I saw the whole 9 yards. I saw all of it.
So why would you meet a black guy in a parking lot? Explain that.
I'm sitting here on the phone. I will tell you when I see you in person. Please.
I can't come there anyway. I'm not allowed there.
That's not true. Who said that? They tell you that on purpose. That's not true.
I don't know what you could tell me, even if, let's pretend, I said, oh, it's all better. I can't, they're charging your ass. Don't you get it?
Like, I didn't do anything. Please.
I don't know what to say to you. I can't help you.
What do you mean?
It's out of my hands.
You're not even trying.
What am I supposed to do?
You're supposed to get me an attorney, please, so I can talk to you.
You know, one thing after another. You can't explain this one. You know? Come on, man.
You think.
What do you mean you didn't die? You met a guy in the parking lot.
You know me, okay? You needed me yesterday. I took you right to Fort Lauderdale because of your thing, because of this, because of that. Every time you need me, I am here for you. Every every single time, and there's no denying that.
So why would you meet a guy in the parking lot and hand him $1,200 and say, yes, I want him dead?
Anybody $1,200. Period. Where they got that from, I have no idea. I never gave anybody money. I never paid anybody money. I never anything. Nothing of nothing of nothing, and you have my word. Nothing.
Hey, I saw you with this guy in the truck or whatever the f*** it was. I saw it. I heard your voice clearly. What? I don't understand.
I did not say those things. Period.
So how did they get your voice on that tape recorder?
Like, I'm limited with my time, please.
You gotta be kidding me, man. Look, Stallion, I heard you say that shit.
Like,
okay?
I'm telling you right now, okay?
You can't fix it. You gotta listen to me. You need to get your lawyer. Your mom's gonna get you. I spoke to your brother. And you need to just handle it. Because, Kelly, listen, if I go screaming to the judge or wherever I say, oh, it's okay, they're charging your ass.
Like, it doesn't matter, period.
It doesn't matter. You can hire 5 lawyers. They're charging your ass to have your voice, your face, everything on tape. You're in a lot of trouble. I'm trying to help you.
How?
Because I'm trying to get your head, get off the bullshit, and understand what's going on here.
What bullshit would that be?
I'm
sitting here.
How are you going to sit there and tell me that? How are you going to tell me that you didn't say it, you didn't do it? When I saw you say it, and I saw you do it.
Do you have any idea how I was when they told me what supposedly happened to you, how I got, and how I was, and how everything?
Right, and you want me 500 or 5,000% dead.
That's not true.
You're absolutely
that's
sure.
That's not true. I heard what you heard, and that's not true.
And what did you hear then?
I heard the 5,000% sure. I heard, what else did I hear? I heard the whole thing. Everything you heard, I heard. And not once.
What are you disputing about it?
I never wanted to dead, period. I never paid anybody. I never gave any money. I never anything.
What were you paying him for?
I didn't do anything. It's what I'm trying to tell you.
Why were you exposed to a video camera and a tape recorder? Why?
Can you meet me in person so I can talk to you?
No.
Why?
Explain that to me right now.
Why?
Why should I?
Because you know me. Okay, whenever you need me, I am there for you, period. You know that. Or am I not? You couldn't even get off the couch the other day, and I came and I brought you dinner, and I this and I that, and I always make sure you're always taken care of. You're always everything. I never, ever, 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 ever in my wildest dreams ever want that for you, ever.
Well, you said it. You hired a guy.
No, I did not say anything. Period. I didn't say anything.
I heard you.
Like, I didn't say anything. I heard what you heard, and it didn't say that.
What the f***? I heard you say it. How did you not hear it? I mean, how did you not hear it? I heard you. I heard you. I saw you. I saw it. I heard it. I don't understand what you're arguing with me about. And where were those 2 safety deposit fees? What are they to? My money?
No, it's the papers. What are you talking about?
The keys they found in your purse. Is that where my money's hiding right now?
No, they're just regular papers.
No. They were safety deposit keys. I know what they look like.
Right, and it's got papers. That's it.
Well, listen. I don't know how you're going to actually have the nerve to sit here and lie to me now. I don't understand. Like, I heard you say it, Dahlia. I saw your mouth do it. Okay? I can't help you even if I wanted to. Do you get it?
Why don't you want to?
It's out of my head.
You're not even trying. It's different if you're trying. You're not even trying.
What can I possibly do for you? I don't get it. What can I do?
You're not even trying.
Trying what? I'm sitting here like a dumbass.
Please, okay? They're getting ready to, like, take me again.
Dahlia, I'm going to give you some advice, and you need to listen. You're going to be lying around in there for a little while, a couple days. You need to just try and relax and just go with it. And keep to yourself and don't say a lot.
Like, I love you. Don't do this to me. You know, everybody treated me awful, sir. I can't do anything to you. You know me. Everyone did anything awful to me.
can't help you. There's nothing I can do to help you. Know what I'll do? You know what I'll do for you? Seriously? What? You sign my house back over to me. I'll help you, Mom, immensely. Give me my house back. That's it.
That's it what?
It means sign my property back to me that you stole, basically.
That's what you're thinking, and I didn't steal anything.
All right, so listen. I'll have the papers sent over to you somehow. You'll sign them over to me, and then I will help your mother. Okay?
I'm not signing anything.
I know you wouldn't sign anything. I knew that wasn't going to happen, so I can't help you. Okay?
That's what you're thinking about. I'm sitting here watching, and you're thinking about.
Yeah, you start having me killed.
That's not
You're
true.
a f***ing liar. You're a f***ing liar.
What did your mom say?
She's not saying shit. She's sitting there. My mom's saying.
And what?
Check it out. My mom, your mom, everybody else's mom, they're all out of it. You know where you're sitting right now? That's the reality. I can't fix it. I just offered to help you, and again, you have the balls to say no to me. Okay? Then I can't help you.
How do I believe you're going to help me if I do that?
Because you know why? Because I'm the only person on the phone that's ever done what they said they were going to do. Me. Okay?
How do I believe that?
Don't say shit. I just said I'd help you. Okay? You just basically said f*** you to me, which is hilarious considering your situation and considering what the f*** just happened today. Have your mom call me. I'll talk to her about it. I told you what I do. I'll fix it. I'll help you. You got to do the right thing. All right?
But I'm getting fingerprinted now.
All right.
Oh my gosh. The audacity of her to say, I wasn't planning to do anything. I saw the same thing you saw. So we both saw you planning to kill me. How could you believe that? How could I believe my ears and my eyes? And for him to say, okay, if you sign the house back over to me, I'll help your mom out. I'm not signing anything.
And you know what's so sad is, especially the first part of that call before he gets angry, there's a portion of that call where he's not angry. He's just kind of like, it is what it is, right? And I genuinely feel like the first part of that call, he so desperately wants to believe her. He so desperately wants to believe that, no, there's no way that this person who I've brought into my life and I love, and at this time, he still believes he's having a child with her. There's no way this person would do this to me. And you could hear it in his voice through the first couple of minutes of the call because he's wavering. Because he's like, how what do you mean? Like, how is that the case? Like, it's a genuine sense of like, I would fully believe you if the evidence wasn't punching me in the throat, you know?
What I heard was a little different in that he wants some other reason that this happened. I think that he believes that she did it, but he also doesn't want to believe it. He's like, there had to be some reason. What is your explanation? I want you to give me an explanation. I am looking for an explanation. And the fact that her explanation is to continue denying it, I think that's what really pushed him over and made him get angry.
Exactly. And I know the internet likes to throw this word around, in my opinion, far too often, but this is gaslighting. He's telling you, I saw this, I heard this. Why did you meet him? Why did you do this? Why did you do all these things that is blatant video and audio evidence to? And she denies all the video and audio evidence and tells him that he's wrong. And then in the end attempts to flip it back on him and make it his fault because everybody's being awful to her. That is gaslighting. That is manipulation. That is emotional abuse.
Right. How could you even believe that? I'm the only one that's ever tried to help you. You didn't even try to help my mom. You just told her what happened. Like, girl, you tried to kill me. You tried to have me killed.
Exactly. But again, Mike has proven to be a better human being than me because even after all of this, he was still willing to help her. And in my opinion, I do believe that if she had actually signed over the house and given him at least his house back, he would have been a little more on her side and been a little more willing to forgive her and move on. Because even in his statement during her trial, he says If she had owned any of this, I would have gone to the judge. I would have said whatever if she had just owned it. But she didn't own it. So Dalia Dippolito goes to trial 2 years later in 2011. During the trial, the prosecution presents all its evidence, including the recorded conversations between Dalia and Muhammad, between Dalia and the undercover officer posing as a hitman, Dalia's interrogation, the subsequent phone calls from jail, because again, those are evidence, those are your statements that can be used and will be used against you. Do not be on jailhouse calls making stupid statements. And the icing on the cake, Mike Dippolito testifies in this trial. Mike Dippolito testifies for the prosecution and explains his experiences and how it has affected and changed his life for forever. And he reads a statement to the judge and to the jury before he is cross-examined. He is then cross-examined by her grungy defense attorney, who, instead of focusing on the facts of this case, wants to focus on the fact that Mike has a criminal past and all the shady things he did at this point over 10 years ago.
How is that relevant? Like, how was the defense attorney even able to bring that up? Is it because he's not on trial, so there's not as strict rules around what can be brought up?
It's not that he's not on trial. It's because jurors are allowed to determine a person's credibility, right? So in his case, you're allowed to talk about convictions because it goes to your credibility. So if there was anything in Michael's past that he was not convicted of or that he had not pled guilty to, then he wouldn't have been able to bring up criminal activities. But due to them being convictions and due to them being on his public record, you're allowed to bring that information into court because it is a way for a defense attorney to plant that seed of doubt of his credibility. Which again is why I like talking about this case, because Mike's a complicated character. And when it's time for the defense to present their case, they present this whole story that both Mike and Muhammad were in on this whole scheme, and this whole thing was a farce to end up on reality TV. And that by somehow feigning an attempted murder, the three of them would become reality TV stars. And she didn't understand why Mike and Muhammad were suddenly going against the plan, as she never genuinely intended to kill her husband. She was acting in all of the tapes that were presented in court. She also claimed that she was having second thoughts about this scheme to get on reality TV, and Muhammad threatened her to keep up the ruse or he was going to hurt her and her family. Again, this is what the defense presented at trial, and I will go ahead and tell you, most, if not all of these claims are completely unfounded.
Because my thing is, if this were the case and she was on that jailhouse call, why would she not have brought it up? Mike, what happened? This was only supposed to be a ruse. What happened?
Exactly. Instead, you're saying, how could you believe I did that? Not, babe, this was all according to the plan. What are you doing? Why are you selling me up a river?
Right.
So the jury goes back to deliberate, and they are not buying what Dalia is selling. And they convict Dalia Muhammad Dippolito of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. And she was sentenced to 20 years in prison. And though it sounds like that should be the end of our story, we have quite a few more things to talk about, friend.
Oh, Lord.
So following her conviction, Dalia appealed the verdict in 2014, and the Florida 4th District Court of Appeals overturned her conviction, citing concerns over the jury selection process. Apparently, there had been a felon sitting on the jury, and if you are not aware, felons are not allowed to sit on juries. And that information did not come out until the Court of Appeals investigated it. So, with her conviction being overturned, Dalia is getting ready for her second trial. Dalia's second trial began in 2016, and this time she had a new defense attorney. And again, they were focusing on the claim that this entire incident was staged for reality TV, and that Dahlia was under the impression that the murder for hire plot was completely fictional, and she only went along with it due to this belief and from threat of Muhammad. Again, they state she had no genuine desire for her husband to die. And in the second trial, the prosecution present their evidence, but Michael Dippolito does not testify in this trial, as he had been attempting to move on with his life, and he was not particularly interested in testifying at this trial, which I completely understand, because in interviews, he expressed how he felt like his past and his wrongdoings were on trial more than Dahlia's. And that's a very traumatizing experience, to have your partner attempt to kill you and then have that same partner slander your name and just completely try to ruin your character in the eyes of everybody. So I completely understand him not wanting to testify a second time.
Yeah, same. Because it's like, I was the victim here, yet I'm being treated like the perpetrator.
Exactly. And at the end of the second trial, a mistrial was declared because the jury was unable to deliver a unanimous verdict. It has been released that some jurors did not believe Dahlia's story at all, while others believed that she was possibly the victim of entrapment. And I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that Mike did not testify to the accounts he experienced and add that proper context to the story. And so after a mistrial was determined in that case, Dahlia was placed under house arrest at her mother's home. But she got her a little man, and she got pregnant and gave birth to a son in 2017 before we go into her third trial. Again, the defense continues to argue that the entire plan was staged. It was a fictional storyline meant to attract the attention of recruiters for people who are looking for reality TV stars. However, this time, Michael returns to testify against Dahlia, and the prosecution are able to present all of their evidence and witness testimony that prove that Dahlia wanted Mike dead so she could take everything he has. And at the end of that trial, the jury found Dahlia Mohammed Dippolito guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder, and she was sentenced to 16 years in prison. In September of 2019, the Florida Supreme Court rejected without comment a request from Dahlia Dippolito for the court to review her 2017 conviction. Her defense team had tried to put the case before the U.S. Supreme Court in February, but the court declined to hear the case. And she kept filing until she had utilized all of her available attempts to appeal, and she officially will stay at the Lowell Correctional Institution in Ocala, Florida until 2032, which ironically is the same year that Mike is scheduled to get off of probation. Shortly after her conviction and sentencing, Dahlia Dippolito was accused of plotting a prison escape utilizing a drone. She was recorded in a prison phone call describing to someone how a person in another prison in South Carolina had successfully escaped via a drone, and that the story had really gotten people in her prison thinking about how they might be able to do the same thing. No further information is available on this. I just found it funny that you had been sentenced and you're attempting to escape prison and you're talking about it on a jailhouse call, no less.
Right, like, girl, has she learned nothing?
Clearly not. As for the other people involved in this case, Muhammad Shihada was found dead in his apartment in Sebring, Florida on October 24th of 2021. He was found by his brother and other family members, and I do not know his cause of death, nor do I know if his death appeared to be under mysterious circumstances.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yes, and he was only 40 years old at the time of his passing. As for Mike Dippolito, He has moved on with his life and started working in real estate and continues to live in Florida. After officially divorcing Dahlia, his home was returned to him, and he is reportedly engaged to a new partner named Gloria. And that's the end of our story, friend.
I'm just like, I don't know. I've never heard somebody be that adamant that they didn't do anything wrong, despite all the evidence stacked against them.
Yeah, it's insane.
I think I said all my other thoughts throughout the episode, but yeah, karma came back to Mike. I think that was a little extreme. I'm glad that, it was unsuccessful. But yeah, I'm just really shocked that her defense allowed her to go with the story that they were on reality TV. And I'm even more shocked that the second trial ended in a mistrial, just because I feel like even without Mike's testimony, you have the jailhouse call that she placed to him. You have her on video. You have all the stuff that was happening to him beforehand. And I don't know if that was able to be incorporated in evidence without his testimony, but it just seemed like there was way too much evidence against her.
That's how I felt for sure too, which made me feel like I did not go watch the second trial or anything like that. But that's what makes me feel like there must have been evidence that was kept out as a result of Mike not testifying.
That's the only thing that would make sense to me.
Thank you to our listeners for joining us on this episode. I'd also like to thank ABC News, as well as Broward Palm Beach New Times newspaper for providing most of the material for this episode. If you'd like to check out photos related to this case, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Criminalish Podcast.
And listeners, if you like what you hear, be sure to leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to the Criminalish Podcast. And if you are listening on Spotify, feel free to leave any comments or questions. As always, stay nosy, my friends. Bye.
Bye.